Before I was diagnosed, the kids just knew that I had something growing in my stomach and it needed to be removed. It was no big deal. They knew that I was in pain, but they just knew that something needed to be taken out of my stomach. When I was diagnosed with the cancer, I thought, I have to tell my kids this. But I didn't do it straight away. I actually didn't tell them for probably 2 or 3 weeks. But then everyone started finding out, and my biggest fear was one of my kids finding out that their mum has cancer of somebody else. I was just petrified that would happen. And I thought, I've got to tell these kids. I didn't want to. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. So I was laying in bed and I called Aaron and I said, we need to tell these kids now before they find out of somebody else. And he said, okay. So I called them in, and my biggest concern was telling my oldest, Jesse, because he's 10, he knows what cancer is, and it's something he's always been scared of. Even as a little kid, he used to be scared of cancer because he used to see it on the news or on TV, and you'd see this very, very sick person who had cancer and they died. That's all he could really get from cancer, is if you get cancer, you get very sick and then you die. So I just didn't want to tell him because I just knew that he was going to be so scared. So they were sitting there and I said, I have to tell you something, but do not freak out. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. It's going to be fine, I promise. And already Jesse's face went white and I thought, oh no, I don't want to tell this kid. And I said, what they had to take out of my stomach was cancer, and Jesse's face just dropped. He was white. I said, but I'm going to be okay. They've got special medicine that I have to have, and that's going to make me fine, and that's okay. And he said, are you going to die? I said, no, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. Everyone's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. I'll have my medicine, and then that'll be it. The other two, so my 7-year-old and the 3-year-old, didn't really quite understand. Jackson looked at Jesse with a worried look because he was thinking, why is he so worried? I don't understand. But I said, it's fine, Jax. I'm going to be okay. He's like, okay. It's always been fine ever since. They've never really gotten too upset about it. I did used to try and say to them, how are you feeling about everything? And they were like, fine, as long as you're okay. They could see that I was okay. We had a couple of little scares when I wasn't feeling too well, so I did have to go back into hospital, and they would be scared, but they could see straight away that I was okay and everything was going to be fine. I didn't always go into full detail about how I was feeling, but I always wanted to make sure I was completely honest with them, so that I had the cancer, I had to have chemo, I was going to lose my hair. There were going to be times when I wouldn't be able to get out of bed, possibly. I was going to start looking quite sick. I wanted to make sure that they knew everything about it, and just to know that it was just a temporary thing. We're going to do this for this 6 months, and then everything's going to be fine. Go back to normal. My hair grows back. I always made out to them that I didn't care about my hair. I always said, it's just hair. I'm going to shave it and it's going to grow back. It's no big deal. Whereas secretly I would probably, have a cry in the shower about losing my hair. But I always said to them, it's just hair. It will grow back. It's not a big deal. So don't worry about it. Yeah, so my advice to other mums would be 100% honesty. Be upfront with the kids at all times. Obviously there's probably some things you wouldn't tell the kids. But just honesty, tell them what's going on. So if you do have to go into the hospital because you're not feeling well, tell them, I don't feel well, so I'm going to go to the hospital. It'll be fine. But tell them, don't, make up things or anything, because I think they need to be included as much as you can. I think the more you're honest with them, the less worried they'll get. If they start finding out that you're not being completely honest, it might scare them even more. And just getting on with life, trying to keep routine as normal as possible. I know it's hard, but to try and keep that routine as normal as possible, and still try and be their mum.